Once, there was a jungle, a place where elephants roamed freely, lions reigned supreme, and waterfalls sang their eternal song. The air carried life itself, crisp and untamed. Santiago, an old fisherman, dreamt of this place. These weren't mere dreams, they were fragments of his past, reminders of a time when life felt whole. But now, his reality was stark, a barren shore, an empty net, and the laughter of those who mocked his misfortune. For 84 days, Santiago had not caught a single fish. He was called cursed, a man who had lost his touch. Amid this ridicule, there was a boy named Mavli. Not yet a teenager, he was Santiago's only friend and the only believer in his stories. Mavli came to Santiago every evening. Despite the old man's hunger and hardship, the boy admired his spirit. He believed in Santiago's strength, even when the world didn't. "Can I come with you tomorrow?" Mavli asked one night. Santiago smiled faintly. "No, my boy. Your journey lies elsewhere. Mine is still with the sea." Mavli nodded, but he wished to stand by the old man's side. The next morning, Santiago rose before dawn, as he always did. Mornings stretched longer for him, as if time itself granted him a chance to savor each moment. He prepared his small boat with quiet resolve, loading his tools, ropes, a knife, and a spear. The sea awaited him, a familiar foe and a silent companion. As Santiago rode into the darkness, Mavli watched from the shore, a silent prayer in his heart. The sea was endless, its horizon blurred by the early morning light. Santiago rode deeper, leaving the faint glow of other fishermen's lamps behind. The ocean stretched wide, but his spirit stretched wider. By noon, Santiago saw a seabird circling overhead. It dove sharply, emerging with a fish in its claws. A school of dolphins followed, their playful leaps a sign of something larger beneath. Then, the pull came a sharp, unrelenting tug on his line. Santiago's weathered hands tightened around the rope. "This is no ordinary fish," he murmured. The line pulled harder, almost dragging Santiago into the water. The fish was strong, determined to escape, but Santiago's grip never wavered. "This is a battle," he said aloud. "One life against another." As the hours turned into night, the fish pulled Santiago's boat farther into the open sea. His hands bled, his body ached, but his resolve grew stronger. "You are my brother, fish," Santiago whispered into the vast emptiness. "We both fight because we must." The battle continued for 3 days. The fish refused to surrender, dragging the boat farther and farther. Santiago admired its spirit. "You are noble," Santiago whispered, his voice trembling. "But if I let you go, I lose more than a fish. I lose myself." On the 3rd day, the marlin surfaced. It was massive, its bulk gleaming like molten silver under the rising sun. Santiago stared with wonder. "You are the greatest I've ever faced," he whispered. "But your greatness will not save you." With one final thrust, he drove his harpoon into the marlin's heart. The sea fell silent as the fish surrendered. Santiago tied the marlin to the side of his boat and began the long journey home. Exhausted but victorious, he reflected on the battle. But the ocean is not kind to those who claim its treasures. Sharks, drawn by the marlin's blood, began circling. Santiago fought them off with his knife, his oar, even his bare hands. "You will not take my prize," he growled. By the time he reached the shore, only the skeleton of the marlin remained. The villagers gathered, staring in awe at the size of the marlin's skeleton. Mavli ran to Santiago's hut the next morning. He found the old man battered but alive, his hands bandaged and his spirit quiet. "You're hurt," Mavli said, tears in his eyes. "But you didn't give up." Santiago smiled faintly. "A man can be destroyed, but not defeated," he replied. Santiago's story is more than a tale of catching a fish. It's a lesson written in struggle and resolve. The result of struggles may not always be success, but if the struggle is great enough, your defeat will be more glorious than others' victories. Your wounds, your blood, your pain, they will stand as proof of your greatness. And in the face of such greatness, the limitations of outcomes will not matter. Even when the world is against you, when circumstances weaken or break you, remember this: you cannot be defeated. Your struggles have made you stronger, more resilient, and truly remarkable. A man can be destroyed but not defeated.